a really key piece for Pierre here, because there's no
here. Let's kick off our Lille Regional Championships.
And it's King Gambit Sneasler going for that lead there from Pierre, and the Annihilate Whimsicott beat up, plus Annihilate is on the field here with no obvious follow me or redirection options here. So Nick looks like he's in a fairly decent position here, but obviously has to contend with Sneasler obviously sitting right there with that Focus Ash. But it's not one with Fake Out, so it's not going to be able to shut down this Whimsicott too well, which is good for Whimsicott because it didn't have Protect and would have had to commit a Terra Ghost, which it now doesn't have to do. So this King Gambit sitting there can also set up as well. So we might see a little bit of a war here. Swords Dance and bulk up, a little bit of a race. But this King Gambit is going to be quite threatened to kind of go for a Terra to avoid those fighting moves. And it is that Terra Dark as well. So it's still going to take super effective damage. But if those coachings can keep boosting up this King Gambit instead, then that may just be all you need.
Are we going to see a coaching? What we're certainly going to see is a terrestrialization. Let's get sparkly. It's going to be the Whimsicott, and it's going for its Terra Ghost, really getting into that Halloween spirit. Love to see it. Thank you for showcasing that for us here, Whimsicott. So it will be keeping itself safer. It'll now be taking not very effective damage from Dire Claw, for example. That's not going to protect you from any status conditions. Time for a responding Terra over on Pierre's side of the field. It will be that King Gambit going for the Dark. That means it won't be taking as much damage from those fighting type moves from Annihilate, but still super effective, as you were saying, David. That King Gambit looking oh so cheeky on the field with that Terra Dark crown. Going to be the taunt coming out from Whimsicott into the Sneasler. Now Sneasler locked into any attacking moves rather than status. Do we get a status here with the Dire Claw, or we get the Poison Touch activation instead? So fortunately, that's probably the status condition you want to see in this situation rather than a sleep. Annihilate deciding to hit the gym. It goes for a bulk up, gets a boost for its attack and its defense stat. Now all eyes onto this King Gambit. Going for the Swords Dance, you called it, David. Time for both of these Pokemon to get flexing their muscles before any damage is dealt. This is going to be an explosive match.
You could wonder why the Whimsicott's maybe gone for that Terra Ghost, because there's no fake out option on the Sneasler. But as you said, Charlie, to resist that Dire Claw, you could see is really key. If they hadn't gone for that that Terra Ghost, that would have been down to Focus Ash and Poison to knock it out. But now Whimsicott still threatens more damage this turn, either with a Tailwind or now a super effective Moonblast into that King Gambit. So a really nice Terra here for Nick. We've just got to hope for Nick's sake, though, that it wasn't a too an early sort of Terra here, because now it's been committed to that Whimsicott right now, and Pierre still has the Terra option. So from Pierre's perspective, now that Nick has so little options now, and so if there's something that's super effective on this Annihilate that may be coming in here, then there's no Terra to escape it.
Yeah, I mean, the Terra spent on Pierre's side of the field too. We'll have to see if that works out for both of them. Going to be a big Terra Dart boosted Sucker Punch with the Swords Dance too, and of course Whimsicott now taking super effective from that rather than not very effective. The critical hit just for style points, that won't have mattered at all. This is a King Gambit at +2 in its attack stat. That Whimsicott is now down. All it did was get a taunt off into the Sneasler, which has now reset it by switching into the back. But a big boosted Drain Punch here. The King Gambit brought down to about 1/5 of its HP. Had that not terrestrialized, that would have been a one-hit knockout. So let's see if that's going to pay dividends to Pierre later on in the game. But for now, here comes everyone's favorite owl. It's Hisui and Decidueye.
I think people may have forgotten it's their favorite owl, actually. I think. But now it's here on the Lille Regional Championship, so I love it. Now, interestingly, the Magmar's come in here probably just in time, because there are lots of single-target moves on Nick's side of the field, so that can then be redirected away into this probably very bulky Magmar, allowing King Gambit to get off a few more attacks this turn. Now, interestingly, this Magmar doesn't have Will-O-Wisp. It's actually taunt kind of over that normal slot, so otherwise it would look really nice here. But obviously, follow me, it's still looking pretty effective right now.
Yeah, very effective indeed. We don't have spread moves coming out here. Drain Punch is boosted up. You can see what the Eviolite does for that Magmar there, boosting the defenses of a Pokemon yet to evolve. Soon Decidueye is going to make things all murky, going for that Haze. That's going to remove the stat boost on both the King Gambit and the Annihilate here. Kowtow Cleave, though, into the Decidueye. Being a part fighting type, it still does half of its HP. So maybe this King Gambit, you want to be able to get rid of it as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, I think you do. But honestly, that Kowtow Cleave damage was so much. Haze Boost have just got rid of the attack boosts, and still it's doing over 50% with a not very effective move. That just shows the power of Black Glass's King Gambit and why you only need dark moves on this thing. It doesn't matter if you resist, you're just going down. Now, Pierre is obviously slightly still on the back foot here. All the boosts are kind of gone. We maybe have a little bit of a roll of damage there, so we don't know if this Decidueye might actually survive another Kowtow Cleave at this point. But what's kind of nice about the Haze combination, even though you've got rid of your own Annihilate boosts, is that any attacks into this Annihilate, they're still going to boost up Rage Fist, which is obviously going to be great into some of those other Pokemon.
But it's time for Annihilate to get set up once more. It's now time to go for another bulk up, get those stat boosts right back. Big overheat, though, connecting into the Annihilate. It's only going to take it down to about half of its HP and boost up its Rage Fist and reduce the special attack stat of the Magmar quite considerably. That's going to be a triple arrows just to clean up this Kingambit, so now Nick can breathe a sigh of relief. And if you're wondering, what is that item that Isuin Decidueye is holding? It's not one we see so often. That's a Razor Claw. That's going to boost the critical hit chance as well. Leaf Blade, another move this Decidueye has access to, has a boosted critical hit chance. So with those stacking up, this Isuin Decidueye you cannot ignore.
Exactly. It gives it a 50% chance to crit every time you use that move, either with triple arrows or that Leaf Blade, which makes it really, really strong.
Yeah.
Sneasler coming in. Sneasler comes in. Diaclaw is suddenly a huge threat. And we know the Terror has been spent as well. Annihilate's obviously looking pretty safe from this Pokemon as well, and the Magmar too, so it's in a really decent position. Decidueye might want to go on the defensive here, maybe go for the protect, maybe kind of switch out. But Annihilate is not being stopped right now, and it also outspeeds that Magmar, so it's, if it wants to, it can go for another bulk up before another taunt comes out. I think maybe Pierre was maybe hoping that Overheat would do a little bit more damage, kind of put it in range of whatever he has in the back. Because at this point, he's got to be hoping that he maybe has that Dragonite potentially in the back, or maybe that Rillaboom to kind of hit it a little bit harder as well once that Grassy surges up.
Well, it's going to be Arcanine joining the field here. Now you're safe to switch this in with the Intimidate because the Kingambit is felled. There is no defined potential coming out over that side. Diaclaw, here we go. Hold your breath, everybody. And there it is. It's going to be the Annihilate taking a sleep on the field. It's a snoozy little Pokemon here. Unfortunately, though, you do get to spend this mandatory turn of sleep on this very turn, so it could wake up on just the next one. Overheat, of course, not going to do much damage at all into this Arcanine here. And now whatever move the Arcanine clicks, it will be locked into it unless it were to switch out. That's Annihilate getting a little bit of recovery with its leftovers too. So Annihilate still has a good amount of HP to work with and a defense boost. So let's hope that it can wake up soon.
Yeah, but this Arcanine, as you were saying, Charlie, is staring down a close combat option at the moment.
Yeah.
And even if it does somehow survive, get an attack off, this Sneasler still has a Focus Sash up as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe Sneasler kind of just lock into that slot and do so much damage, because the only switch into that is a Hisuian Decidueye, which is probably also going to go down.
Yeah, well, here comes Rillaboom. It's time for a little drum solo, time for the gig. Let's hope the noise is enough to wake up this Annihilate, but Extreme Speed is going to be doing a huge amount of damage to Sneasler, not known for its bulk, but it's responding with a close combat, super effective into the Arcanine. It's down, Nick down to the final two Pokemon versus Pierre's 3. Now, you have broken this Focus Sash onto the Sneasler. Let's hope that's the opening that Nick needs. The Magmar also not at full HP, but really this Annihilate is going to have to wake up sharpish, and it's not going to this turn. The alarm bells are ringing, Annihilate. It's a very deep sleeper.
Very deep at the moment, and it could sleep even deeper next turn if Nick gets a little bit unlucky. So he definitely needs that to wake up right now to be able to start dishing out this damage, because this Decidueye coming in is also not going to help too much. Sneasler's going to outspeed it and to take another KO on it right now. Good thing is Decidueye can kind of protect itself to kind of stall out a little bit of a turn, give another chance for Annihilate to wake up and deal with the Sneasler. But it's like, depending on how this sleep turns go and how much damage this Wood Hammer does from Rillaboom, it's still going to be close.
What is nice is that you have the grassy terrain and the leftovers on the Annihilate, so it does give you more HP each turn, hoping that the Annihilate is going to survive. But here comes a big coaching coming out from Sneasler. This Rillaboom wants to go all in. Put on your ear defenders, everybody. Things are going to get loud, and the Annihilate does wake up in response to all that volume. Big Rage Fist coming out now. How much damage is it going to do into the Rillaboom? Okay, brings it down to about a third of its HP. This Wood Hammer boosted by the grassy terrain, though. Despite the bulk up boost, that is, of course, a +1 Rillaboom as well. Enough for the knockout onto the Annihilate. So kind of back to the drawing board here for Nick, approaching game 2.
Yeah, that was obviously a really nice play there from Pierre. Like, you're really threatening down this Decidueye very, very heavily here. But it would have been close, right? If Decidueye had actually got an attack off there and maybe somehow kind of KO'd the Sneasler but with a critical hit maybe, and thanks to those triple arrows, then maybe we'd be looking at a game where actually Nick takes it, because with that grassy terrain recovery and the protect, it might be able to take another Rillaboom hit and then get the KO on that too after that Rage Fist. So it actually was very, very close, but obviously Pierre made an excellent play at the end there, targeting down what was that threat in that Annihilate.
Yeah, really, really well played by Pierre. And the Annihilate sat on the field for the entire game up until the very end there. Pierre taking out
Pierre this time, and Pierre with one game away to be able to take this round 2 and continue undefeated in day 1 here. Okay. So it's the same leads for Nick's end, and a slight little switch up for Pierre.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be the Kingambit and Magmar over on Pierre's side of the field. Whimsicott and Annihilate once more for Nick here. So Nick believing that this was the right play all along. But how do you get the most out of these Pokemon? Nick locking in the moves very quickly, seeming to know what Pierre is going to be going for on this turn. Of course, you've got the mind games here of, well, are we going to terrestrialize on the very first turn once more? Nick seeming to think, well, probably not. We're probably going to mix things up here. But of course, once you've got the Magmar there, able to go for the follow me, it's going to keep that King Gambit so safe. And again, the Eviolite making it so bulky too. But Whimsicott, of course, would be very threatened going for its Pierre Coste here in the face of the Dark-type King Gambit.
Yeah, there's the follow me, keeping it nice and safe, as you said, Charlie, because, yeah, I like what Nick's trying to go for here, this double target into the King Gambit, because it looks like an obvious setup sort of turn, but instead, it doesn't fall for it instead. Moonblast and Drain Punch into that Magmar, and honestly, a waste opportunity not to be able to go for that bulk up, as King Gambit gets this Swords Dance up, and is now looking so threatening. Yeah, very threatening indeed. Swords Dance boosting your attack by 2 stages here. And yeah, Moonblast, I mean, it was bold firing it into the King Gambit because, of course, if you were to get a special attack drop, that would give it a defiant boost, boosting up its attack even further, and then the game could just be over then and there with a +4 King Gambit. Yeah, really good, just like literally ending everything. And the Sucker Punch as well means that you can kind of get around any sort of tailwinds that Nick could set up as well, because it's just, that's what makes it such a good Pokemon as well. Yes, you can make the most of those tailwinds and just go, but when you've got set up with a Sucker Punch and you're versus something that only has attacking moves, suddenly you're looking so threatening. And it's going to force terrors, it's going to force a Hydreigon to come in if there's one in the back or not. So yeah, Nick needs to find a way now to start boosting up this Annihilate again, because it looked really strong in the previous match.
Yeah, it certainly did look strong. If that sleep hadn't happened, maybe we would have seen a different game, but right now, going to be another follow me. Whimsicott deciding, I've had enough of that from you. You can stop following me. Taunt making it only go for attacking moves. Annihilate now deciding to go for the bulk up. Let's hope it didn't get the memo too late here, as its attack and defense are boosted once more. Now the King Gambit kind of has free reign here. It clearly hasn't gone for a Sucker Punch. Going to be a Kowtow Cleave. It's resisted damage, but it still almost bring that Whimsicott down to its Focus Sash. Whimsicott is here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, exactly. But luckily, no Poison Touch proc there from this attack instead. So Whimsicott does stick around to be able to do a little bit more this time. Yeah, and as you can see, this Magmar lead with the follow me is meaning that Nick can't really go for any beat-ups either to kind of boost up this Annihilate. But with +1 attack now, Drain Punch might be getting close to be able to KO this Magmar here, but I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe another bulk up as well, because obviously you're taking on more attacks from this King Gambit even better as well. So it just makes a lot of sense to be doing this at this point, especially when the Magmar has been going for Taunt and not into the Annihilate yet. And as we saw from Pierre's team, there's so much physical attackers on this team. The only special attacker is Magmar, so the more bulk ups you can get, the better you are going to be versus pretty much everything that Pierre has.
It's a really excellent point, and if you're wondering why this Annihilate hasn't been targeted down yet, well, it will give boost to that Rage Fist, so you kind of want to target around it or get boosted up so that you're ready to deal with it in one fell swoop. Speaking of fell swoop, it's time for Terrestrialization. It's time for one of these Pokemon to maximize its typing potential. This Annihilate going for the Terra Fire here, that's going to be switching up its resistances and the moves that deal super effective damage to it. As the King Gambit just decides it's time to go for a Protect, perhaps hoping to cast the Annihilate, going for a Drain Punch into that slot. Moonblast being targeted down into the King Gambit as well. Maybe Nick hoping that the double up would be enough, because of course with the Moonblast, you risk a special attack drop and a Defiant boost. So yes, King Gambit, very wise Protect there. This Rillaboom is able to get into the gig for free.
Yeah, for free, and Nick has also spent the Terrestrialization to get rid of that Ghost type on Annihilate, meaning now it's vulnerable to Fake Out as well. So Nick's probably definitely pressured to kind of protect his own Annihilate at this point, which means Pierre can maybe just do a nice Fake Out Swords Dance sort of play here with very little drawback.
Yeah, very little drawback, but King Gambit going for its Terra Dark now. Going to be boosting up the power of those Kowtow Cleaves and that Sucker Punch indeed. The Whimsicott here, of course, that has access to that beat up. That is one way of boosting up the Rage Fist. But is the Grassy Glide going to be enough? It certainly is. So this Annihilate not going to be able to have those Rage Fist stacks that Nick would have wanted to see here, as the Annihilate is able to get off another bulk up. So all of a sudden, this King Gambit is feeling a lot more threatened. It had the early advantage with the stat boost, but now the Annihilate is just matching it. Kowtow Cleave into this Annihilate, going to be doing neutral damage, but it is boosted. It's, oh my goodness, so much damage. +2 attack into +2 defense here. And you can see, you know, I'm surprised by how much damage that Annihilate took there.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage there. And I think we've got kind of +2 on the King Gambit. I think we've got +2 on each stat for the Annihilate, I believe, at this point, if my calculations are correct.
But then you have the Terra Dark and the Black Glasses to boost up that Dark type damage even more. But now you've got the Intimidate, giving a Defiant boost over the King Gambit. Maybe Nick thinking, well, we've already got so many boosts, you can take one more. It's not going to make much difference at this point.
Now, this Annihilate obviously has taken so much damage.
Yeah.
Probably can take a Grassy Glide, but probably cannot take a Sucker Punch right now. So Nick's really pressured at the moment to either just keep bulk upping or going for those protects to get around this Sucker Punch that could be coming out from this King Gambit at any point. And it's also probably more bulky enough to be able to take an attack from this Arcanine. So in a way, Pierre has maybe 2 opportunities to get off a Sucker Punch versus this Annihilate to take it down. So here's a protect from Nick. Let's see what Pierre's done this turn.
All right, well, is it going to be a Sucker Punch targeted into the Arcanine? No, okay, it's just going to be a Protect.
Called it.
From the King Gambit, yeah, and so that means that the Head Smash targeted into the King Gambit is not going to be doing any damage at all. This Rillaboom, once more, just left alone. We haven't forgot about your Rillaboom, don't you worry. High horsepower, double super effective into the Arcanine there, being a part Fire and a part Ground type. So really, really well played by Pierre. All 4 Pokemon remaining, and just 1 Pokemon in the back for Nick.
Yeah, the absolute perfect play from Pierre there, as if they're in Nick's head right there. Protect the threat that was trying to be taken down by Nick, and a completely wasted protect on the Annihilate as well there. So that Sucker Punch is very much looking very threatening to this Annihilate, unless we just see more and more bulk ups. But what's stopping Nick from doing that at the moment? Because we've got Grassy Terrain and Leftovers continually healing up. He's just got to avoid if a Kowtow Cleave goes into that slot instead, because obviously the King Gambit wants to get around a potential Drain Punch. We could probably KO this turn. So we've got, do you Drain Punch, do you bulk up, do you Kowtow Cleave, do you Sucker Punch, Mind Game every single turn right now. But what Nick does have is this Hydreigon, which is just immediate damage, nice and simple, collect that button, do that damage.
It's a shame that it's all 4 Pokemon here still remaining for Pierre, because once you're locked into this move, you cannot change it. But it's going to be the Sucker Punch, actually, so that's not going to be doing any damage. So 3 damage coming out from a Hydreigon into King Gambit, huge amount thanks to those choice specs. That Hydreigon feeling very optically well placed as the Annihilate gets another bulk up off here. So Nick going for the outs that they possibly can. Now you get another tick of Leftovers recovery and Grassy Terrain. You can protect on the next turn to get even more here. We don't have an Urshifu in this format, so you can't be hitting through any of these protects. This Hydreigon still at full HP as well, so really well called by Nick.
Yeah, honestly, really good play by Nick, and just keeping it nice and safe, honestly, too. It makes a lot of sense. And at this point, because Sucker Punch's base power is kind of a little bit lower than that Kowtow Cleave, I think we're almost at that point now where Nick's Annihilate is now out of range of a Sucker Punch, which makes it a lot safer to just start throwing out those attacks.
Right, absolutely. Well, it's now going to be that Protect from the Annihilate, so it is going to be able to heal up that little bit more. Magmar now redirecting, doing the thing that it has become so well known for. That means that Dragon Pulse going to be fired off into the Magmar, not enough for the knockout. Once more, the Eviolite paying dividends. How much this resisted Kowtow Cleave, albeit at +3 now, going to do inside Dragon? That's just going to be enough for the 1-hit knockout. 3 heads might be better than 1, but 3, 2, 1-hit knockout.
That is a massive KO. Again, once again, in Game 2, showing that all you need is dark moves on King Gambit. Like, that was a resisted hit. That was a Hydreigon, Charlie.
It certainly was. I saw, David. Don't you worry. Yeah.
Good. Okay, good. Just checking, boss. Okay. So, yeah, this Annihilate, though, is still looking pretty good, though.
It is, yeah.
If there's any Pokemon you want right there, your last soldier kind of against the world, even if it's a 1v4, it's Annihilate with having taken a few attacks to boost up that Rage Fist. You've got Drain Punch to heal up as well, and there's still not a lot that's offering a load of damage right now. It's obviously this Kowtow cleaving King Gambit's looking very strong, so let's see if it gets another attack off here.
Yeah, follow me. No surprise to see coming out of the Magmar here. Will it be able to take a Kowtow from the Annihilate? I seriously doubt it, although the Drain Punch is nice for even more recovery here. It's inching ever closer to full HP, but I mean, if it can do that much damage in a resisted hit to a Hydreigon, we're thinking that the days of this Annihilate in this game aren't numbers. Here it comes, King Gambit with its victory roar, Kowtow Cleave on its knees, and the Annihilate actually does hang on. That is so amazing to see. But now, of course, very much in the Sucker Punch range. So, you know, hype, but oh well, better luck next time, Nick.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall here, I think, for Nick at the moment. I mean, like, with bringing in Sneasler, like, it's got a Focus Sash. It can go for any sort of attack right now, and no, it can take something else in return. Annihilate only has single target moves, so it's looking very much a little bit risky here. I think maybe Nick's 1 out is protecting quite a lot here to be able to heal quite a lot from the Leftovers.
David, have you ever seen a Protect 12 turns in a row? Because if this is going to be turning it around for Nick, that could be the only option for him here. But yes, it will get more Leftovers recovery, but now with the fast offense coming out from the Sneasler, of course, you've Terastallized away from your Ghost typing, so it would be taking damage from that close combat or any move that Pierre were to select on the Sneasler. So well played by Pierre here. You know, just losing that Magmar at the very end there, but having basically all 4 4 Pokemon remaining for most of the game, as it looks like we're going to be getting into our final turn here in Swiss Round 2.
Yeah, we'll see. There's the Sucker Punch, just going for it. Yeah. Respecting it for trying to get up that Drain Punch, to be fair. You need that health. But yeah, there it is. Annihilate goes down, and Pierre Coste from France takes the win in this round 2 of the Lille Regional Championships.
And it's always a pleasure to